From sleeping to exercising to walking, lower back pain can impact all areas of your life. When you're dealing with the aches, and, oftentimes, debilitating soreness of lower back pain, there's a good chance all you want to do is stay in bed. But research shows that doing a combination of strength and aerobic exercises and stretching 2 to 3 times a week can help prevent and ease lower back pain. That's where our list of stretches for lower back pain comes in. While not all back pain can be remedied by stretching, sometimes those with lower back pain have tight hips and legs, so strengthening and loosening up these muscles can help you find relief. The nice thing about gentle stretching is that it's a few tips to note before you get started. Stretch your lower back carefully, especially if you have an existing injury or other health concerns, and if you're in pain, it's best to consult your doctor before beginning a new type of exercise. Aim to hold each stretch for at least 10 seconds, and preferably 30 seconds or longer. The pain-relieving benefits will increase the longer you hold these stretches. Rather than rush through the moves, Costello recommends turning on soothing music and using the stretching time. 1. Child's pose. This common yoga pose gently stretches the muscles of the low back, which are likely contracted if you're in pain. How to do child's pose. Begin in tabletop position on your hands and knees, with your hands directly under your shoulders and knees under your hips. Extend your arms out in front of you, placing your palms flat on the floor. Slowly sit your hips back toward your heels, dropping your head and chest downward, as your arms extend further and reach for the wall in front of you. If this 2. Cat-cow stretch. This dynamic movement moves the low back muscles in 2 directions and builds on child's pose to help lengthen contracted muscles and soothe soreness. How to do a cat-cow stretch. Begin in tabletop position on your hands and knees, with your hands directly under your shoulders and knees under your hips. Your spine should be parallel to the ground in this position. Then, round your back, stretching your mid-back between your shoulder blades, similar to how a cat stretches by rounding its back. Hold for 5. 3. Supine twist. This stretch not only helps to stretch your lower back, but also your glutes, which can tighten when you're experiencing low back pain, ultimately causing more pain. How to do a supine twist. Begin by lying on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Extend your arms out to the side in a T position. Keep your shoulders on the ground as you gently roll both knees to one side. Stay here 20 to 30 seconds, then return your knee. 4. Need a chest stretch. Similar to the other stretches on this list, this pose lengthens contracted low back muscles. How to do need a chest stretch. Begin by lying on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Bring your hands to rest either behind your knees or right below your kneecaps. Slowly bring both knees toward your chest, using your hands to gently pull your knees. Hold. 5. The pelvic tilt. When you're suffering from lower back pain, you might feel as if your entire pelvic area is immovable. This stretch can help you start to bring some movement back to this area gently. How to do a pelvic tilt. Begin by lying on a yoga mat with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Try to relax your low back, keeping it in a neutral position, which means you should feel a slight curve in your low back if you place the top of your hand under your back. 6. Supine figure 4 stretch. This classic yoga pose helps open up the hips as much as it is good for massaging your low back. This pose stretches the outer glutes, as well as your piriformis, both of which can contribute to a tight lower back, says Hillary Wright, Y7 instructor and director of continuing education. How to do a supine figure 4 stretch. Lie on your back on a yoga mat with both knees bent and feet planted on the floor. Lift your right leg, flex your right foot and cross your right ankle. 7. Reclining hand to big toe stretch. Supta Padangusthasana. Tight hamstrings and adductors, your inner thighs, can contribute to a tight lower back, Wright explains. This pose stretches things out by loosening up these muscles. How to do a reclining hand to big toe stretch. Lie on your back and lift your right leg up towards your face. Interlace your hands behind your thigh or calf, depending on how tight your hamstrings feel. Keep your opposite leg active and your opposite hip grounded. Your head and shoulders should stay on the ground. Hold for 10 breaths. Cow face pose. Gomukhasana. This pose stretches your outer glutes, which can cause low back pain. They're tight, says right. How to do cow face pose. From a seated position, bring your left heel toward your right glute, with your left knee pointing straight in front of you. Now bring your right leg on top of your left, stacking your knees together, so they are both facing straight ahead. It's okay if they don't stack directly on top of one another. Your feet. 9. Bridge pose. Softening around your sacrum allows some tension around the low back to be released, and lengthening through the sit bones encourages activation of the lower part of your gluteus maximus, which helps to support your low back, releasing pain and tension. Right says. Lying on your back, bend your knees and plant both feet on the yoga mat. Be sure your feet are hip width apart with your heels close to your glutes. 10. Forearm plank. Right says this variation of the plank activates your core, which will help take some pressure out of your low back by strengthening the muscles around it. From the top of a push-up position, drop your forearms onto the mat directly underneath your shoulders. You can interlace your hands or bring the forearms parallel to one another, depending on how you're. 11. Pigeon pose. Tight hip flexors can lead to lower back pain, and one of the best ways to open up the hips is with extended half pigeon posture. A small study of people with chronic back pain found that those who practiced yoga, including pigeon pose, for 8 weeks had a 9% reduction in their pain. Starting in downward facing dog. Inhale as you lift your right leg up towards the sky for 3-legged downward facing dog. On your next exhale, bend the knee and place your right knee towards your right wrist. Lower your right shin, so that it becomes parallel to the top of your mat. It may be at an angle depending on your hip flexibility. And that. 12. Half Lord of the Fishes. Ardha Matsyendrasana, also known as seated twist posture. Ardha Matsyendrasana helps improve posture and spinal mobility in those with lower back pain. Don't allow your lower back to collapse as you perform this posture, and remember that a little goes a long way when twisting with lower back pain. Sit with your legs extended out in front of you, Dandasana. Lift your right leg and place your foot on the ground beside your left knee. Bend your left leg and place the left foot on the outside of your right hip. Ground down. 13. Happy Baby. Ananda Balasana, air restorative posture. Happy Baby is great for inducing relaxation, all while opening up your hips to reduce lower back pain. It also relaxes the back muscles and helps loosen up the neck and shoulders, helping you find relief. From a supine position with your back on your mat, bend the knees so that your heels appear to be stamping the ceiling. Grab the outside of your feet with both hands and hook your